Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, and well-published peer-reviewed authors. We are all academics by profession. You remember Romana Didulo, recently arrested, the woman who formed a cult and claimed to be the Queen of Canada, claimed to be a reptilian alien shapeshifter, claimed to have med beds, medical devices floating around the earth in flying saucers that could cure anything, regrow a limb that's been cut off, reverse cancer instantly. That Romana Didulo, the one who claims to be working with the U.S. government and the United States military, backs her up and protects her because there are tunnels from Canada to the middle of the United States, big, large tunnels, so that the military can come and protect Romana. Now, you would assume that no sane person would believe all this. She believed that she was purified by fire, by being burnt alive, immersed in this high temperature fire that cleansed her body. And she came out naked, of course, because all her clothes were burnt off and her shoes, but very much like the mother of dragons on the HBO show Game of Thrones. Probably where she got the idea. She, of course, Romana claimed herself, self-proclaimed Queen of Canada. She was the queen, the legitimate queen. She made all the laws. She got rid of all the laws she didn't like. She threatened to kill many people, and not kindly. She was going to hover over alligator-filled swamps and lower people down from the helicopter head first and wait until the gators bit off the heads. Not exactly a kind human being. Well, she drove all around Canada, and finally somebody in Richmound, Saskatchewan, the same place that produced all the genuine sealskin linings that saved Super Dave Osborne. Now, I know that Super Dave wasn't really from Canada, but he always talked about his sealskin linings coming from Canada, Saskatchewan. A great tribute to a great guy, Bob Einstein, and left everyone a bigger fan of Canada than they were before they saw him. Well, anyway, that same Saskatchewan, famous for its sealskin bindings, genuine by the way, some individual there gave them a place, the cult, her followers and her, a place to live and build their empire, their kingdom. And this went on for a couple of years, and they were not friendly people. They more than likely weren't sane people either, but they scared the people of the town. They lived in the school, and now it's condemned. And the people, if you're familiar with this story, and if you're not, you should look it up and read about it, especially if you're from Canada. They went around filming the residents there. They frightened people. It's a tiny town. And the residents there wanted help. And they notified Canadian, the RCMP. They notified the Premier. They did everything. And begged for help, for money, to get rid of these people. They wouldn't speak. These people would not speak to other people. They would follow them around with cameras, film everyone, but they wouldn't speak, they wouldn't answer questions. It was really bad. A little bit of research on your part will show you how bad it was, how the mayor of that city reached out for help. They wanted help. People were frightened. The children were afraid to play outside. Now, what were they afraid of? Well, they were afraid of a cult who believed all the nonsense that Romana was dishing out. She's not human. She's a reptilian shapeshifter. She's a reptile. But she can look like anything, so she's decided to look like a human being. And the pupils in her eyes are sometimes round, but sometimes they're elongated. They're a slit like a snake or a reptile. That's why she's a reptilian shapeshifter. And she's got all her followers who believe her and support her. Would you be afraid of those people moving in next to you? Not saying anything to you? Afraid that your children would be stolen? And they threatened them too. Romana's people threatened people in the town. They threatened other people. They've put out tons of death threats, telling people, we're coming for you, Joe Blow, we're coming for you. Today, I have issued an edict that you will die. Would you be afraid of these people? Yes, you would be. If you had half a brain, you would be. Even if you were ready for them to come for you, and you were going to give them a surprise ending, you'd still be nervous that you have to live this way in a town where people didn't lock their doors before. So the people of Richmound asked for help over and over and over again, and they were denied that help for years. It was like, no big deal, can't do anything. They didn't do anything. Romana's people didn't do anything yet, but we're keeping an eye on it. The RCMP opened some substation in the town, temporary thing. This went on for 2 years. Now, at the end of that time, the residents asked for help. They say, she's out now, she got arrested, the cult's not allowed to be there anymore. But we have this school that's condemned, that they used to live in, and all kinds of other things. They harassed the local officials, the cult. They drove away 2 village administrators who took the job for a little while and left. And after they left the school, there were big costs, estimated up to $75,000 for legal fees and cleanup and possible demolition of the now vacant building. An RCMP raid in September 2025 removed Didulo and 15 followers. On November 12th, resident Shauna Sane and NDP ethics critic Brittany Singer pressed the issue at the legislature. Premier Scott Moe acknowledged the village's ordeal and signaled potential help via accelerated municipal revenue sharing, noting Richmond has already received $130,000 in such funds since 2023. Okay. Now the problem is there aren't many people that live in that town, and they are out of money. They need help. Now here's what the premier, he said, this is Premier's response, that's Scott Moe. He sympathizes that the village suffered through no fault of their own. That's a quote. Through no fault of their own. So it wasn't the village's problem. They didn't do anything wrong. But he says the primary fix lies with the building owner and the municipality. The Minister of Intergovernmental Relations is open to advancing funds via municipal revenue sharing. Now, he admits it's no fault of their own, the villages, but he says primary fix lies with the building owner and the municipality. Well, the municipality doesn't have any money, and the building owner isn't likely to pay. And this went on for years. That school was not condemned before Didulo and her crew moved in there. But it's condemned now. It's got to be torn down. All kinds of other problems there. It's not like they ignored it. The town ignored it. Richmound ignored it. It wasn't that. They asked for help over and over and over and over again. But, as we've mentioned in previous videos, the official government position is that we're not going to do anything about it because it's not a big enough problem. Yes, they could be violent. Yes, they could destroy your town. Yes, they could give your children nightmares for the rest of their lives. But we're not going to do anything about it because it's not that big a problem yet. Don't have to do anything about it yet. They haven't killed anybody in Canada. Now they've killed people here. And I could be wrong about Canada. I don't follow it as closely. We don't follow it as closely as we should, perhaps. But there's enough sovereign citizen stuff in the United States. But I don't know of any killings in Canada. There might be. Look it up. I can't say one way or the other. But there are definitely violent acts, including murder, in the United States. And the Minister of Intergovernmental Relations should not be just advancing funds via municipal revenue sharing. They should be giving them funds, not just advancing them, paying the bills. They ask for help. What good is a federal government? You know, this investigation by the RCMP into Romana and her cult went on for 2 years. That's a long time. And something should have been done to protect these people in Richmound. There are only 120 residents in Richmound, and not all of them are taxpayers. Not all the properties they live on are tax-paying properties. We have to be very critical of the Canadian government, for one thing, allowing such a cult to exist. I know of nothing like that here in the United States. No cult, no sovereign citizen cult. But this woman and her followers, who were active, they toured Canada, they were active, having public speaking events. They did nothing, the government, to stop Romana, claiming that they had no law to stop her, which I find difficult to believe because most governments have laws to stop everything. But perhaps it's true. Perhaps they didn't have a law. Or perhaps they just ignored it because it was no big deal. Nobody got hurt, which is the attitude that many governments have, except for the German government, who really came down hard on sovereign citizens and a movement similar to Romana's. Really hard. But if Canada didn't have the laws to stop it, which in parentheses here we kind of believe they did and could, then they should have passed some new laws. Seriously. And don't forget, she took money from her supporters all over Canada. It's believed at one time she might have had as many as 50,000, some people say 75,000 supporters, asking these people for money was a daily occurrence. Isn't that some type of fraud? You're giving money to the Queen of Canada? She's not the Queen of Canada. But I can't criticize Canada because they've given us the genuine Saskatchewan sealskin bindings, which are pretty cool, even if they're not real. In reality, we greatly respect Canada, Analytical Media. It gives its people health care. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about health care, and that's the biggest worry we have here. We worry about health care. You know, your new job. What's your health care? I'd like to leave my job, I'd like to become a plumber and have my own business, but can't do it because I can't afford my own insurance. Not in Canada. Now, I know certain people in the government here, heavy-set people with a type of tangerine type complexion. They don't like Canada. This person doesn't like Canada. His followers don't like Canada. But Analytical Media, we like Canada. We like it a lot. However, the Canadian government dropped the ball on Richmound. These people should have got help right away. And if the Canadian government needed a gun charge to post against these people, the Queen and her servants, then they shouldn't have waited so long. Should have passed another law. You can't claim to be Queen of Canada if you're not. You can't claim to be from another planet and have advanced medical facilities that will cure cancer if you just come and see me and donate some money. Now, whatever it is, it can't be allowed. You can't allow. It would be considered fraud. It's a fraud. She's not the Queen of Canada. Where's our evidence that the U.S. military supports her through secret underground tunnels? Come on, you just ignored it, I think. That's what they do in the United States sometimes. In some courts, they just get rid of it. Sovereign citizen, drop the charges, don't have time for their nonsense. Other places, other cities, apparently take it more seriously, and they do have time to put them away for a great length of time. So, we like the Canadian government, we like free healthcare, and we'd like the Canadian government to pay these bills for Richmound. Don't talk about it, do it. And if they try to move back into Richmound, they should be moved out. And what does it take? Well, if it takes passing a new law, pass it. These people were tortured. They had a lovely community. Their kids could ride their bikes outside. They didn't lock their doors at night. It was a town of 120 people. I've taught classes that are bigger than 120 people. You gave the world Second City TV. Give Canada a country free of cults. Don't have the law for that? Make one. Pass one in the legislature. Whatever you do when you're not busy trapping seals in Hudson Bay. In all seriousness, don't tolerate cults. Don't allow Canadian citizens to be fearful that a cult could come into town, threaten them with death, terrorize them, or terrify them at least, by not speaking and following them around with cameras. Don't do it, it's beneath you. Pass laws if you have to, and if you need more help than that, ask Martin Short, I'm sure he'd come back. You gave us all that, you've given the world all that. Give the citizens of Canada a fear-free environment to raise their kids and live. This is Analytical Media. Thank you for viewing. Please like this, subscribe, help us spread the word. Take care.